of Gen.G? Is this going to be holding on to a QV favorite from the past, but also obviously more clearly threatening a jungle Aatrox, which is a very common blind pick jungler? That part we don't know the answer to. SKT, we're all going very standard. Lucian Braum bot lane, Lissandra mid lane is what's coming through on the side of Gen.G, on the side of SKT, but Gen.G definitely have a bit more options with the Aatrox flex.
They certainly do. One big pick that has been around for a while, pretty strong, has been that top Kench. Has been banned a lot in first rounds and also picked alongside Ezreal and other kind of squishy AD carries, but it is ignored for this first time. Could be targeted, but with Galio and Braum picked already, perhaps not, as we do see the Yorick banned first.
I like the Yorick ban from Gen.G. They want to flex the Aatrox further, and they of course have the issue where Khan plays the champions that lane into Yorick well, better than most top players. Remember, he's a Fiora god, so you're really scared to go for a blind Yorick against Khan if you don't double ban against it. So why not ban the Yorick, hold on to the Aatrox for a potential top laner, and give yourself more options. Tahm Kench actually made its way far through this draft. On Braum duty today, but we think we already had the support matchup. We don't know it, given that Faker did actually play mid Galio in his last series.
Mata, interesting with those two champions you mentioned. His Braum is 3-0. It's Tahm Kench's most played, though, at 8 games of 5-3. But feeling better for Lucian Braum, which is obviously a very strong and impressive bot lane.
SKT, if they lock in Rek'Sai, have the God 1-2 item comp on the blue side, and Rek'Sai noticeably is not going to be banned. Clid's Lee Sin taken out. It will not be a jungle Aatrox. This confirms it will be top lane Aatrox, or I guess mid lane Aatrox. Remember, Roach is in the lineup, so they have two top laners who can both play Aatrox, that's for sure. We'll see what SKT make of all this. The Rek'Sai, I think, is a God pick here. I'd be surprised not to see it locked in. It's an old favorite of Clid's as well.
You take away the Lee Sin, and you also take away the Olaf and Aatrox as potential junglers. Rek'Sai just too strong on this patch, and will be picked up.
This is such a God mid-game draft. How do they round it out? Because they're going to have to take an ambiguous top lane pick, probably into Aatrox, but nothing shown from that. QV has played a game of top Olaf in solo queue. I guess we should mention that out loud. So we'll wait and see what that means. Is Fiora blind by the side of SKT? We mentioned he's a blind and a God Fiora. They're going to go for it. It's a pretty bold choice, but Khan locking it in.
Gotta love it. Just flexing a little bit. Hasn't lost on it just yet. But blind pick here can be quite interesting, as the camera is on QV right now. Seems to be that maybe they're thinking it will be, but no, it will be the Alistar that does come in. Obviously, very high tier support left available, but that does mean that Galio is not going into the support role.
And what does that mean for the Fiora? Very expected it's against the Aatrox, which is an even more winning matchup now after the Aatrox nerfs. There was time when people loved to run the mid lane Fiora against the Galio, but seems like Roach is going for a more prototypical mid laner, but it's a nerfed mid laner, and it's also one that is seeming to kind of fit the bill we mentioned. Skill matchups against Faker is not a good idea for Roach, role swapping pretty late into both the Spring Split and his career onto the mid lane. So just go the Galio. It may be forgiving, but it doesn't necessarily inspire confidence on Gen.G being 9.4 ready. This looks like a pretty 9.1 draft on the side of Gen.G.
Does feel that way. I mean, you can see they prioritize the Aatrox, and then they last pick support. They don't use their counter pick for the top or mid lanes. They just take Alistar last because they already had their top laner, essentially. So kind of interesting not using one of the powers of the red side in the draft, but we'll see if that comfort kind of moves them along here in this one.
SKT's draft so strong in the 4, and then Khan wants to go for his split pushing. Rek'Sai can gank the other lanes with reliable CC, or Tremor Senses make sure Fiora is always safe whenever she's overextended trying to push in a wave. So you have a lot of options here as Clid. I think Clid has carte blanche to hard carry this game in the early to mid game. On the side of Gen.G, I don't think they necessarily have Elo Heaven as the game goes on, but they've got reliable CC and an Olaf. And Olaf versus Rek'Sai can swing very hard one way or the other. So the jungle matchup might be the pivotal one during SK Telecom T1 and Gen.G.
Those are the key players we listed before. We'll see how it pans out here for game number 1. fans riled up and ready to go here for this matchup. Definitely a lot of fans of both of these teams. Obviously, SKT has been around for a long time, and Gen.G with some big names in their lineup. Still waiting for, we were talking about King Zone and Deft just hardcore carrying multiple times. We were really touting Ruler as another one of those guys, but hasn't really had the solid teammates that Deft has had in some of his solo lanes so far. We haven't seen him be able to super hard carry so many times just yet.
Looking over the picks here, and you'll notice nothing in the loss column for these champions yet on the side of SKT. I want to draw your attention to the jungle of Gen.G. Peanut was supposed to come in as the solid carry alongside Ruler. We hypothesized Peanut with his smart path in the early game would open up potential carries for Ruler in the late game. Notice he has gone Conqueror Olaf. This is very surprising to me, but it is a rune choice opened up. Conqueror is a sometimes choice on a lot of champions on patch 9.4. This is with the hotfix, so it's not the full value Conqueror on release on patch 9.4, and it's in lieu of a Predator, so no Predator ganks coming, and no fun in the laning phase for Roach.
You see that Faker forgoes one of those minions and just says, by the way, welcome to the mid lane here, Roach. You're playing that old guy Galio that's not really seen too much in the mid lane, but let me welcome you in my own special way.
It is a matchup that is usually non-interactive, but we got to see Faker versus Roach in solo queue on skill matchups, and predictably Faker was way ahead in those. So this might also be one of those matchups where Roach won't be at solo kill potential. That's too much to ask, but could be at lower health values than you might expect and be open to ganks. Rek'Sai can gank from very creative angles. Shaco-esque with her ability to tunnel over the wall and make creative gank paths work. So definitely could be action mid lane that we wouldn't normally tip, and there might just be a solo kill here as Peanut has been found in his red and should die.
He's so low, and he has the ward, but he hasn't used it, and, well, he's just going to take the red. Doesn't even go for the kill here just yet, but he's still on the prowl. As looks like Peanut will be able to get away after flashing, but he loses so much in his buff.
And he has to go for the most safe recall ever. This is actually really smart. If he goes the longest way possible, he's popping potions and judging whether he can go to his Krug camp. Clid will know only Krugs are up. He can see them moving as well, and he's not done with his invasion.
Another small thing about the Rek'Sai, it's being able to see what you can see over the wall, and once you already get that flash out of the Olaf, feel so ready, especially with the pressure and priority in the top lane, just to have Khan come down and say, yeah, you're not going to have your Krugs.
Almost every game where you come away feeling great about SKT this season has been this scenario. Clid with a very obvious skirmish advantage over the enemy jungler, and priority his lanes to back him up. There's been some amazing virtuoso-level performances from SKT when they've got early priority, and they've picked the god draft in this game, especially in the 4, outside of the Fiora, who actually even early in the trades against Aatrox after the nerfs, everyone else spikes super early. Rek'Sai is a god with just Warrior into Black Cleaver. She never gets stronger from that point. And in the late game, yes, things might start to fall away, but this is the sort of game, with that sort of a start, that the lead that SKT can generate could be game ending.
Speaking of which, and speaking of keeping tabs on your boy Peanut here, the Scryer's plant does see him, but he goes all the way around to the bottom side. Oh no, Teddy might just go down before he even gets there, as he's alone. Mata will get away, but oh boy. Teddy has to flash too, but still goes down alone 1v2.
Even though we had the pullout, it feels like somehow we missed something, right? Yeah. SKT's duo lane just died 2v2. It was 2v1, of course, because Braum was roaming, but it was nothing to do with the jungler there. Didn't even spot him as the exact timing came of the ganking path. Disconnect between Teddy and Mata. Too easy for Gen.G. Here's the replay. Mata says, yep, I need to find out what's happening with the Olaf. He's spotted on a ward, still goes up, and Teddy just dies, so there's a huge disconnect here. This is honestly a pretty rubbish 2v2 play from the SKT duo.
Yeah, I mean, a very big mistake. Looked solo Q-esque as he dashes forward, doesn't respect Life's engage on the Alistair, doesn't have a support, as you mentioned, the communication wasn't there, so we'll just try to erase that from our memories because that's not what we're really used to seeing. out of this bottom lane duo.
It was just so disconnected that we can't even choose someone to blame, right? You're just like, well, this was just a duo lane that was at odds there, and palms were clearly not being respected on both sides. Again, not going to be a match-winning trade there, but Lucian has to amble back, doesn't have teleport, and it does relieve pressure from what is a winning lane matchup for SKT. It's Lucian Braum. We know how strong that can be in the 2v2. Anything to get rule the breathing room means he gets a back without a teleport on the first back. That means his second back will be much more potent and much earlier than you would think.
Yeah. Went back and got a tier and a pickaxe, too, so kind of interesting. Probably didn't have just enough for a Sheen, so he just got the extra damage, the 875 instead. Was probably pretty close. But just the extra gold from the first blood allows him to even have that item instead of just a mana crystal for the Sheen or anything like that.
Those items don't allow him to actually stop things like turret plates rolling, and that's one done and a second one on the way from SKT's duo bot side, and that's with no jungle backup, only a control ward put down, showing you how strong that lane is on paper. We're seeing Faker push in extensively on Galio. Had a lot of power crypt from his Q over time, and Khan winning top. So there's 3 winning lanes for SKT. The gank bot lane doesn't change anything, or the 2v2 kill as we should talk it, so we will compliment Ruler and Life for finding a time there. Now they're looking for an invade. Will anything change around the playbook for SKT? Because they should still be feeling very proactive and very confident about the current game state.
Like the path that Clid takes here actually avoids any vision to hop on over. They're not even going to know he's here until they see him on the blue buff. As they will see him now, it will go the way of Clid. Nice double knockup, but no follow-up from the team as, okay, we're following it here as Galio comes in, but out goes Rek'Sai and in she goes again. As Baker's in position to do enough damage and follow-up. Road should be going down, only Mata going to be the sacrifice here for the 2-for-1 for SKT.
And that was just Gen.G baiting themselves into a problem. Life got the kill earlier, but a level 5 Alistar engaging when SKT, like we mentioned, is so powerful just innately in the early game. Opens up multiple members on a silver platter, and how about an Infernal Drake unless Peanut can stop it?
We do have the ults coming through, but it's way too late as the smite is on point there from Clid. Just one nice play into another. As you mentioned, Gen.G trying to force that one, get punished hard.
And it's just one of those overforces where you got a good moment bot lane, you think, okay, let's double down, get them again, you know, a 1-2 punch. But unfortunately, the timing here is ill-advised. No ultimates on the members involved in this fight of Gen.G before Faker just takes it over. He's the one ahead of the play. The Galio ult is early, but it's not going to be enough with Life not having his own ult. But watch Faker, gets into the back line. The self-ult's the right choice here. He's able to get a lot of value in that fight. Chase down further kills as well.
That makes that happen. Maybe if Life is level 6, you know, he survives for long enough and maybe can create enough ruckus to make that kind of aggressive play make sense, but fortunately he was just level 5 and still is. So, does go awry as trying to stop the back, but Mata is a faithful support, does not allow that to happen.
Continue with the full court press strategy from SKT. They've been very good at playing this strategy so far. In the Kesper Cup and LCK Spring 2019, Fiora having a very happy time. Goes for the very standard Tiamat. Notice the choice here from Cube, an interesting one. Executioner's calling Aatrox against Fiora is a surprising one, but I guess their hope is if there is a 2v2, which feels inevitable, the healing field can't be enough to just super swing the early skirmishes the way of Fiora, so it might be a way to keep Fiora honest for longer, but we know there are just item break points that Aatrox can't match. So as the gold comes in, both of them have 6, 7, 8,000 gold. We know Fiora will be winning, but perhaps they're hoping that doesn't happen early, which is possible if the right gank comes in.
Khan trying to be sneaky there. You saw him waiting in the brush, but Cube actually just pings it out. The second he does, it was kind of funny. Khan, ooh, nice play there. Predicts that knockup against the riposte stun onto Cube. Khan, super clean so far on his Fiora mechanics as, well, he's Lissandra. He's not going to die.
Sad Olaf ganks when the taunt doesn't come through. They're looking for more onto the Rek'Sai.
Oh, okay. And this guy is in a bunch of trouble trying to get that World Ender out first, but it looks like they're going to go back actually on the dive. They don't want to take that super long time and then have Olaf come in and clean up, especially because Fiora and Rek'Sai, not the tankiest members.
Would have been one of those, what is our primary objective here? The turret play on Fiora is enough of a lead to mess around with the Aatrox ult, so they're happy to back away. Probably the right call, all things considered. Back away from there. Didn't join us for our first series. Haven't seen a lot of Rek'Sai. You know she can do this.
From miles downtown, in goes Clid. Does a lot of damage, especially with the red buff, but Peanut is able to get away. Has that Cinderhulk completed already with some cloth armor, so he is actually relatively tanky.
The missing health ratio not relevant there. Even at level 1, it's 20% missing health, but it was a full health nuke for gap close rather than just for the damage, so not going to be able to show off quite how broken that 5.280 ratio we were discussing in series number 1 is there onto the Aatrox. Instantly stacked up Conqueror. You heard that Conqueror sound as things went on, and of course the Black Cleaver. We stacked just as quickly. That means that Lucian's going to be doing a hell of a lot of damage, hitting the same target as Rek'Sai in the mid game. Speaking of Rek'Sai, backs away, takes down the Rift Herald, and will even pick it up. Not everyone has been able to do that this season.
Yeah. It's funny you have to even say that, but we have had that happen a couple of times as SKT, you'll remember their first for Rift Heralds. I think it was 17 out of 25 games, something like that. Now they're 18 for 26. And so will remain at that first place spot for Shelly's taken on the map.
Now, first item completions are in, and that's only an SKT story, if you really want to be honest about it. Ravenous Hydra to be able to fight in the minion wave and even through something like the Executioner's Calling, out heal in most realistic scenarios. The Luden's Echo there, rushed by Faker, so no Proto Belt. The Mana Nurse coming in from our man Jat have clearly affected things, as we always see a Lost Chapter built into these Lissandra builds these days, and already completion onto the Blade of the Ruined King. So these are the one-item power spikes where SKT begin to really jam their foot on the accelerator, and it's only around 3-4 items that Gen.G, I think, can start to match them. So I feel like a lot of the map trades are at the whim of when SKT want them, and only them being too nice could really stop the Gen.G from falling into a pretty big hole over the next 10 minutes.
I mean, you can already tell that even before the spike comes in, they are able to get a bunch of objectives already in gold on the map, right? So many plates have gone down in top, mid, and bot. They get the Infernal plus the Rift Herald. It's just all SKT so far here in the early game, and now they've gotten to their spike, so they should be really rolling with any punch that's given to them.
5 plates, so 800 of the gold lead is purely plates on the side of SKT. Here's the engage, though.
Wow, big knock up there on a 2, and we do have Peanut, but you can see just how passive they're being. Even 3v2, seems like they don't have full information, not willing to go in on that fight.
The buddy system enacted this time by SKT, and you see how strong Braum is at repelling all-ins. He still has his summoners up. I don't even know if they got through the Guardian, but that was the biggest thing they could break through. Khan continues to make Cube's life hell, and here's that Rift Herald summon in the mid lane. How about solo gold on the best of all time?
Yeah, look at the timing too, 13:47. That's 13 seconds before the plates do go down. That's 320 extra gold that goes the way, plus another plate due to the tankiness of the Rift Herald. Just so much extra given over based on the timing. Great macro so far here in this game.
Really feels like SKT are playing patch 9.4 and also the 2019 patch. Gen.G, they're at their whim.
Well, Life is caught out there. No real escape for him. Not much to yell about as he gets caught out without an ultimate. Had to use it in the bottom side. They knew they had him, and Life knew it too. Didn't even flash.
And it just feels like Gen.G are at their whim. This outdated draft that would have looked out pretty much, you know, prototypical on 9.1. At 9.4, it doesn't feel like the way forward. They have solo lane disadvantages. They're going to try and teleport and try a team fight.
They do not have the Alistar, but they're really trying to make this work as, okay, the Rek'Sai comes in and steals it and flashes the wall. Clid putting on the place here. Looked like a gymnast just flying through the play.
Meanwhile, at Fiora, they couldn't even get a response teleport out of Khan. So even in teleport usage, they come out ahead. Clid's Rek'Sai seems like it's coming together a lot cleaner than we saw in our first series. And this pretty bloodless gold lead. Remember, only a single kill to the advantage of SKT, yet everything else is sliding exactly into their wheelhouse as this team comp is hitting its stride.
Yeah, not much of a fight put up here so far from Gen.G. I mean, they try a couple of times, but it's not exactly the best time to go for it. And SKT able to make the most of the plays. They get 2 Drakes, and the third one, much to the chagrin, Gen.G is going to be a second Infernal, so should go the way of SKT. We'll see if Gen.G can pull a bit of a magic trick out of their pocket.
Just feels like SKT have read their opposition very well. They're drafting a comp that, like we say, suits the patch, and I just don't know what the best case scenario of the Gen.G draft is. You look at it and you say, you're going to find it hard to skirmish. The lanes aren't great either, and if you don't fight early, SKT have shown again and again with this lineup, they will make you pay. Here is the steal. It actually was at 49 health before it was claimed. A drive-by by Clid.
Yeah, he was so far away when he ulted too. He was not even close to the pit. Just flies over like a pole vaulter and then flashes away.
Against a team that can't play the early to mid game, you could kind of understand Gen.G's draft, but even then, you get outscaled by the Fiora split push. With the nameplates on, with it being SKT, I just think they had such a narrow win condition this game, and it required mistakes from the enemy. And here's the conga line. They want more kills.
Yeah, who's flanking who here? Is Peanut thinking about a play? And okay. All right, observers, really trying to impress us now, getting that big-time angle. And keeping it even tilted a little bit, trying to get Galio in the top side.
The tilted part is Cuvée, because TP down, and Fiora got to stay in lane. Now she's got a 40 CS lead, a red buff. That was probably the enemy red buff. And Cuvée can't match Fiora at all. So they're in a damned if you, damned if you don't situation, Gen.G. What are they going to do here? They're trying something.
Okay, Mata goes in and dies.
I guess that's all I got.
Nothing else happened. I mean, that's really it. As they were looking for the dive, but something in that bottom lane today is just not, they're not working on all cylinders sometimes.
Does feel that there's a bit of lag in the comms, at least, between those two, as Mata walked off and promptly was dispatched. There was no objective for SKT to really get around that area. They were already slowly going to pick up the turret with their TP advantage. They're going to steal away a blue buff. I don't know exactly what I would say is Gen.G's at this point. They are losing control of their Raptors and blue buff and other objectives so early, pre-20 minutes, that I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, the next job here for SKT is to just chop down all the outer turrets. So far, top and mid already down. And all Clid has to do is show his base, the base of Rek'Sai, and they're like, okay, well, we can't stand here. We have to just give that one away.
Rek'Sai Tremor Sense, even without being involved, is such a win more button for people who are ahead. They already had winning lanes here, as we outlined, and then Rek'Sai, who invaded Olaf and made Olaf trivial early, just stands around and can shadow. That's why moves like this are unnecessary. In other game states, you try to posture and try to scare the enemy, but they saw all three members and Mata got into melee range. I guess he was greeting for a proc of the Demolish. Wasn't really necessary in that scenario, but literally all Clid has to do is walk up to a lane that's overextended and chill out with the Tremor Sense, and either they're going to kill someone in transition or his laner's going to get away scot-free. So it is so easy for SKT to continue to open their lead. And how about when an Infernal Drake, the second of the game, falls into your lap in a game state like this?
This is a big one for sure, and you can see that Gen.G don't want to give it up for free. And Faker will notice that. He sees all four members coming in, knows Galio's in mid and can join any time, and says, okay, boys, our enemy's going to fight for this one.
There's one thing to note. Khan has no mana in the side lanes. He doesn't want to make a TP play, even though he has a TP advantage. So 5v4, things get a little bit harder to calculate.
They're going to face check a little bit here.
Watch SKT, they're going to kite back, but posture. They don't want to give away a Drake start, but they need to allow Khan to finally refill his mana, and now they can start to move up.
Goes back, Clid. Going to tip away at the wards, as you were mentioning. Try to deny as much vision as possible. Scout what he can see with the Tremor Sense, as you mentioned before.
And you have a pretty good defensive line with these two control wards around the entrance to their, I guess, mid lane turret and blue buff is what you would describe that particular brush. Means that SKT is showing respect. They're falling back to a lot of their fundamentals and pushing lanes. I see you pointing at Fiora items. Those are big.
He got it with 0 gold, so he got it right at the timing. And speaking of timing, there's an Infernal Drake on the map right now, and you have Ravenous Hydra, Trinity Force, Fiora.
She might even be teamfight ready. She didn't even need to be teamfight ready. Speaking of teamfight.
Are we going to have one? Okay, big knockup here from Life. Will only get Mata from the follow-up of the Galio. As Faker looking for one, but they're going to go to the right side. Nice flashes away here from Gen.G, but Life a little bit too weak as he does have his ultimate run out. Trying to cover the wall or just faking it here is Faker. Just trying to push them away. Gen.G still don't want to give this one away as now they're going to try to pile on to Juve before he can world end, and down he will go as Roach all alone desperately trying to get it, but the smite comes in and he won't be able to do anything. 3 more kills and the Infernal go to SKT.
Sometimes in League of Legends you have to fake it till you make it. Fiora's the prototype of these sort of champion, needs 2 items to be relevant most of the time. This is not one of those games. They are the real ones on the side of SKT. They're already so far ahead. They approach that fight in far from optimal fashion. Fiora's kind of chilling with Galio as he ults away, enters the fight late, and yet it all comes together because Gen.G are super early, toothless in this game, and SKT can bide their time, wait out the ults, and when they re-engage, Life with his ultimate dies in the blink of an eye.
Runs out there at the end.
That's a good point. And then he just dies instantly. That's just all about Lucian with press the attack and also Rek'Sai. Sign things up, turn on to the Infernal, everything falls into place, and the re-engage from Faker perfectly timed.
Second QV steps over his boundaries just a tiny little bit. Immediately he gets denied there, and Faker with a stopwatch at this point says, nuh-uh, you can't do anything here, Roach. Even though you are mid lane Galio, you have a bit of damage, you're still not going to kill me. So they get 3 in the Infernal.
Hold off that again.
Oh, okay.
Teammates.
Used his flash too. As I'm looking at it, maybe Khan was the one who flashed for that one.
He did. It was teammates killing each other. Fiora killed Peanut, old duo from last year. We'll get a replay of that one, I'm sure, but hardly the biggest thing to happen in this game. SKT continue to push forward. Khan is just ungodly strong. 2-level lead, if you don't mind.
World Ender just riposts under turret. There's really no damage that QV can do at this point. He's so far behind. Executioner's calling looking laughable at this point. But
just won't do anything. And
yeah, it's just too far behind overall.
I think a lot of people will take aim at Olaf, a champion who's not even picked up a single win over in the LCS. Potential collapse here from SKT. Do note that you'll probably see a lot of Rek'Sai versus Olaf, and just these champions a lot on 9.4 around LCS and LEC. These 2 junglers are the worst from behind of the current pair. Elise is up there as well, but both these champions in wins with tempo advantages, Olaf and Rek'Sai, are huge win more buttons. But from behind, their ability to salvage a game like a Sejuani or a Zac is almost 0. So definitely Olaf here is looking like a laughable champion, can't do anything, building a slow Black Cleaver to I don't know exactly what. We'll die very, very fast. Meanwhile, Clid is looking like everywhere he touched, it has the Midas touch. It helps that he had 3 winning lanes from the start.
We'll take a look at how this happens. Maybe he saw him going to the brush over the ward, but scouts him out. He tries to back again, and then Khan's like, no,
he was on a recall.
Yeah, again. Flash, see you later.
He flashed over the base wall, the one close to the base wall. That lets you know that this game isn't competitive. No one fat flashes over that wall unless you already won the game.
Yeah. He's probably like, yeah, come at me, bro. I can kill all of you if you want. In fact, that's definitely what he was saying, as Khan's been looking super clean on this Fiora. Blind pick or counter pick doesn't seem to matter. I do have to say, though, that Aatrox's second pick by Gen.G really doing nothing so far in this game.
You also have to say, blind picking Fiora against some top laners in the LCK, very bold. Against QV, who's only won on Urgot and Cannon, that's bold. This is definitely a player who you don't feel like can attack you in the one, but it's not Nuggery, right? So you're feeling pretty confident that you're going to get away with it. He got away with it and then some. QV, he has ult, at least. You'll be able to pop it, no stun to shut him down, but he is basically will probably be replaced by a couple of caster minions in pretty similar fashion.
Lid in a little bit of trouble here, but SKT still too far ahead. They don't have enough damage there with Olaf, Roach on the Galio, and Sushop Mirage also not going to kill him.
About 150 damage short. You need quite a lot of AP to be able to catch up there, so don't know if the item disadvantage is going to matter. Faker takes down another turret. This one is so over Valdez. The SKT fans, you can cash this one. These checks are ready to go. You know when they pay out on bets early? That's what it feels like we're watching here. There is always a chance. SKT have actually, against Damwon a couple of times, made some pretty big throws, but this one feels so hard to pull off for Gen.G. As the disconnects among SKT's duo bot is the only thing that's gone wrong for them in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned in the pick ban, SKT, they draft a fantastic 9.4 comp.
Yeah.
Gen.G, they draft a great 9.1, 9.2 comp. I think that makes all the difference. I mean, when's the last time we saw Galio in the mid lane? Like, you know, high-tier pick, sure, for support now.
Well, we saw it from Faker
weird.
in SKT's win, so it has been played once recently, but it was very situational.
Yes.
The picks around it, the chess pieces around it, facilitated it more than we see here. Here it does feel outdated. I agree with you, Valdez. It really feels like SKT were gift wrapped a comp that is so strong on 9.4. I'm happy to see them play in the patch because as a organization, they have been behind the curve in the past when it comes to patch changes.
Bloodthirster just casually picked up by Fiora here. Khan having a day out.
Name 3 players to kill Khan. 3v1.
You mean all together?
You can choose 3 champions on the side of Gen.G. Don't get to choose any SKT champions. That's cheating.
I think it probably have to be Galio, Ezreal, and Aatrox.
Do you think it would work? With double lifesteal?
You'd need enough follow-up CC after the initial engage to actually make that happen, as Life looking to go down here, does have his flash available, but here comes Khan over the wall. Okay, nice knockup, actually stays alive for quite a while. Khan also taking a bunch of damage here. Does have pretty ridiculous lifesteal and is immediately at full health.
They had to waste his time for a while, but actually that was amazing how fast his health came back.
Oh yeah.
Absurd, he has so much lifesteal from the build. It's very forgiving for SKT. Their mid-game comp is so far ahead. They have 4 Drakes, including double Inferno, at their strongest part. Fiora's in the bot lane, and here we go.
A little, you know, face check added to the pile as you kind of have to do something. Blade getting pretty low, but is going to be able to escape on the backside. Can he be sniped? Oh! In transition! Catches him as Ruler is dying to win a game. But, you know, it's kind of hard as the flash comes forward. Teddy is going to snipe away that Olaf on the backside, and nobody really wants to get close to the Fiora. You mentioned 3 champions. These weren't the 3 I mentioned.
Definitely a fortunate snipe that time was Olaf. That time, bad use the burrow. We're seeing a re-engage attempt with Galio, but all looks a bit sad.
It's all a
here's Khan.
It's all a ruse as Khan coming in behind, just 3 swipes him, has the healing too.
3v1 in a turret, so far 1 person's dead.
Well, that's a lot of CC. Is it going to be enough though? Finally it is, as 1,000 gold will go the way of Aatrox. Not going to matter though, as, well, SKT do enough damage and they're pushing for the win.
The answer was Alistair, Ezreal, Aatrox in a turret. That was this magic number to take down Fiora. SKT looking for those demolish procs and looking for the game 1 victory.
Looks like they should do it. It's only Olaf. They're even stopping to get an extra kill as Peanut, you know, why not, you know, blast a little bit away as well. And they will be able to take this Nexus in the first win here over Gen.G in just under 30 minutes.
Can't draft Olaf in 3 losing lanes and get away with it against a good team, and SKT is a very strong team on their day. They take the invitation, say thank you very much, and no surprise, 30-odd minutes later they walk away with the victory. A straightforward one for SKT.
Zipping out of there too, not wasting any time. Not sure what there is to talk about that one. I mean, the draft was pretty pristine. The game definitely going according to plan.
But how does your Gen.G draft end up like that at the end? That's the part that I have an issue with, is it just had so little going for it. Is that it feels like it's that really depressing combination of these are what these players can play, these are what they're confident on based on scrims and stage, this is our role-swapped mid laner, like there's too many things coming together for that to be a viable draft on the side of Gen.G. It's really disappointing for me because it was exactly like we thought it would go. It wasn't any different, it was very one-sided, but the draft was one-sided, and then the play was one-sided, and then they lost. That's not a cool story.
Yeah, I mean, that's
just
kinda
a boring story.
Yeah. It wasn't the most competitive game, obviously. I mean, we saw a lot of cool numbers, damage for sure. But you're talking about the draft. Aatrox coming in second. I think definitely did a number to them. As we're taking another look at the replay. Gates comes in, misses Teddy on the knockup. Only get the follow-up there from Rhodes. And then Khan, he's the big bad wolf in this one. Just crazy damage on the backside.
And you know, the veterans of SKT, they're probably feeling pretty bad about themselves going to the back and saying, oh, we made a lot of mistakes around the 2v2 lane. They should be focused on fixing their mistakes, even though they were the only team that was going to win this game, because their mistakes were the ones that keep them away from greatness, whereas the Gen.G mistakes were so large that they kind of have to just throw out game number 1 and just try something new in game number 2.
Yeah, I would have to agree. We'll have to wait and see what happens on red side for SKT. I'm sure they're going to draft a little bit better than Gen.G did that time around. Turns out that Lucian gets the most damage in the game, even after dying early on. Gave up the first blood. Didn't end up mattering, as only 5 kills go the way of Gen.G.
Yeah, otherwise a perfect game outside of those 5 kills. And that was just a bit of fast and loose play by Teddy Mata and a couple of other people as the game went on. The gold graph was very, very one-sided, and have to hope this is a mulligan. Let's give him a do-over, see if Gen.G can turn it around in game number 2, because, like you say, it just felt like it was written in pen and ink very early in this game, and then we didn't need to cross anything out.
If you were voting on Gen.G for that one, I'm sure you were already head in hands after the draft, and then after 15 minutes in. Yeah. I mean, they were getting ahead before their first item, a spike, and an Infernal.
Yep.
And then, they had that winning lane of Fiora over
Aatrox. At some point, we're just
even better on 9.4.
At some point, you're just being cruel, Valdez. You got to stop saying the ands. You got to go back to original grammar, and we got to be nice casters here and say yes. It was a little bit off.
They gave it their best effort.
Did they?
I mean, not in the draft, but at least they'll have that do-over you were talking about. Go into the back and say like, "Hey, that draft kind of sucked, guys. Let's do better next time."
I wonder what you changed. Does the roster change? Because remember, Fly is ostensibly in the back.
Could definitely happen, Papa. Definitely.